Michelle May. I'm here to talk with you a little bit about the Am I Hungry? Mindful Eating for Binge Eating Therapist Training. The purpose of this particular webinar and session is for you to learn specifically about the training materials and tools and processes. We have lots of other places on our website where you can learn about the program itself and the background, and I'll highlight a few of those as we go through this. But really the intention here is for you to understand what's involved in the training process. As you may already know, this Am I Hungry? Mindful Eating for Binge Eating, and that acronym that we use for short is AIHMEBE, was co-created by myself, Michelle May, and Dr. Kari Anderson, doctorate of behavioral health and a licensed professional counselor. Kari and I are the authors of Eat What You Love What You Eat for Binge Eating, a mindful eating program for healing your relationship with food and your body. And I hope that many of you are familiar with this book. This book was written and intended for a general audience, a lay audience. People can certainly purchase it off of amihungry.com and other places on the internet and in bookstores. And it's been a great tool, and we've had tremendous feedback about this book. And we certainly appreciate your feedback and appreciate you recommending this book for your clients. This book is based on the Mindful Eating Cycle. Mindful Eating Cycle is the tool that I developed for my first book many years ago, and we've been using it in our workshops and presentations and books since then. We found it to be very, very powerful, and I suspect that many of you are already familiar with this mindful eating cycle and have recognized the benefits of using this in your work. The mindful eating cycle specifically increases awareness, decision-making, and problem-solving. It's a powerful tool not just for the patient or client, but also for the clinician. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about that, but I just wanted to make you aware that all of our programs and books are based on this. Some of your clients might occasionally ask you whether or not they should get the binge eating book and how it differs from Eat What You Love What You Eat, the How to Break Your Eat, Repent, Repeat cycle book. And just to make it easy to answer that question, I tell people that there's about a 50% overlap, that many of the concepts that they learned in How to Break Your Eat, Repent, Repeat cycle are going to be found in the binge eating book. Specifically, they'll learn how to make food decisions using this mindful eating cycle. The big difference, of course, is that the binge eating book addresses binge eating disorder. It teaches much, much more in terms of emotional regulation and recognition of needs and communication and relationships and other kinds of things, and doesn't spend nearly as much time on nutrition and physical activity. So it really is for your patients who are struggling with emotional eating. They don't have to have a diagnosis of binge eating disorder to benefit from either the book or the program, but certainly now with the addition of BED to the DSM-5, that the awareness of binge eating disorder has really increased, and I think people are getting help that never did before. Now, let's switch gears from talking about the book and the material that's available to the general population, and let's talk about the Mindful Eating for Binge Eating program. The program is based on the book, and the book was written after the program was developed and researched. And so just in terms of background, the Am I Hungry? Mindful Eating for Binge Eating is a clinically valid treatment that has been shown to stop binge eating. On amihungry.com in the binge eating program section, you'll find some references. Dr. Anderson, for her doctorate, did a research study on this program and did show that it is a clinically valid treatment. In a 10-week interval, people stop binge eating. We will have research. In fact, some of you, by the time you are watching this, that research will already be published. But for now, you'll be able to get the abstract and the paper from our website. The program draws on mindfulness-based therapeutic methods such as dialectical behavioral therapy, DBT, which have been shown to effective for treating binge eating disorder. I know many of you are already very familiar with DBT and are probably using that in your practice. So fortunately, many of the therapeutic tools and methods and strategies that you are already using will be familiar to you in this program. But really what we did is took those tools and applied it specifically to binge eating disorder and using the mindful eating cycle to provide the necessary structure. Mindfulness-based strategies are used to target affect regulation, counteract dissociation from emotional awareness, and slow the impulsive nature of binge eating. So that's about as much as I'm going to say about the background on the program. And again, we have recorded other webinars and have many other tools available, and we'd be happy to discuss this with you one-on-one at your convenience. This is really about the training itself. So who is this training for? Am I Hungry? Mindful Eating for Binge Eating Therapist Training is for licensed master's and doctorate level behavioral health professionals and treatment teams who wish to offer a mindful eating approach for the treatment of binge eating disorder. So if I can clarify, this program, our regular mindful eating program is multidisciplinary. We have people that offer the program from a variety of different health and wellness backgrounds. However, the Mindful Eating for Binge Eating program has a therapeutic component, and therefore that therapeutic component can only be provided by licensed master's and doctorate level professionals, or those that are in supervision and in process of becoming licensed. Now, there are two components, as I'll cover with you in a moment. There are two components of the program, and it's certainly possible that a treatment team, for example, a registered dietitian and a therapist, could teach this program together. The registered dietitian, for example, could teach the psychoeducational component, and then the therapist could do the small group therapy or individual therapy. And that is certainly a wonderful way to conduct this program. But we do not allow individuals who are not trained therapists to run the whole program unless they're in a team situation. So the format of the Mindful Eating program is typically 10 weeks, and it consists of 2 sessions each week. There is a group psychoeducational session, and there is small group or individual therapy. We designed the program to be conducted in groups for a number of reasons. Certainly from an efficiency standpoint, that really works. But as many of you who are already doing groups are aware, there are a lot of other benefits to group therapy, and this is very pronounced in this population because, as you know, binge eating is often very much a secretive behavior and is highly associated with shame. So there is a lot of power in people working with others who have struggled with the same kinds of issues, making connections, seeing that others are amazing human beings and that they are in process as well. So the power of the group, I think, I would just emphasize that if at all possible, that's the best way to conduct this program. However, for lots of different reasons, there may be times when you're going to work with somebody individually. Maybe they're not appropriate for a group because of other co-occurring diagnoses, or perhaps this is an individual who, or maybe you have a small practice or you want to work with one individual, or they come in at a time when you don't happen to be running a group, or many other different reasons. You certainly can conduct the therapy as individual sessions. Now, in addition to the 10-week program with 2 sessions per week, there are other formats possible. For example, a condensed version of this program that could be done over about 5 to 6 weeks. Another possibility is to expand this and use this program in an intensive outpatient program. So you could do this in conjunction with other therapies and interventions such as exercise classes and shopping and other kinds of things that you might do in an IOP. So those other formats are discussed during the training, but the training is really based on this 10-week program. So let me show you what that looks like. Let's look at the first half first. So for example, before the program starts, there's a program introduction session, and I'll show you in a moment some slides that go with it. So we created a PowerPoint slide deck that you can use to introduce your community and other health professions to the program. This is a really powerful way to help people become aware of what binge eating is and to understand a little bit more about what the program is. We introduced the mindful eating cycle during this session, and in 15 years of doing this work, I've always found that that is the most powerful way to help people see that there really is a different way of thinking about these issues. Following that program introduction, and that's certainly not a necessary piece, but it's certainly a wonderful marketing tool for you. But following that pre-program introduction, you begin your 10-week program with a psychoeducational workshop, for example, In Charge, Not in Control. And then the second session that week is a therapy session. In this case, it's called My Story. And then the next week, there's a workshop called Trust Your Body Wisdom. The therapy session complements that, and it's called My Body. The third week, it's not about the food. The therapy session is My Invisible Wall. The fourth session, Change Your Mind. Therapy session is My Internal Dialogue. The fifth session is What Am I Really Hungry For? The therapy session is My Emotions and Needs. In the sixth workshop, we talk about fearless eating, and the therapy session revolves around My Food. The seventh is mindful eating, and this includes a mindful eating experiential, typically a potluck. The therapy session is My Family at Mealtime. Psychoeducational workshop in number 8 is Just Right. Therapy session is My Goodbye. 9 is My Self-Care Buffer Zone. Therapy session is My Relationships. And then finally, number 10 is My Big Life for both the psychoeducational workshop and the therapy session. And then after the 10-week program, you may wish to offer continuing care therapy groups. These are quite popular and really helpful to continue the work that was started here. Oftentimes, you will use some component of the psychoeducational workshops or the therapy sessions for your support groups as review, and then open it up for group session. So let's talk a little bit about the training requirements. How is it that you will go from early awareness to really understanding how to conduct this program? So first, let me say that this therapist training actually consists of 4 modules. These modules are designed to provide a foundation and the skills and tools to offer this comprehensive therapeutic program. So let me talk a little bit about this. You, in the process of going through these 4 modules, you can earn 53 continuing education credits from APA. Am I Hungry is approved by the American Psychological Association to sponsor continuing education for psychologists. There is a document that you'll find on our website. That's a very long URL there. Probably the easiest way to find it is to go to amihungry.com, click on Train with Us, and you'll see a drop-down menu that will take you to Binge Eating, and you'll see a clickable continuing education. And when you go there, you'll find the objectives and the bios and more information about this. We also do offer continuing education credits for registered dietitians as well. So again, if you're working in a team environment, we can provide credits for the dietitian who's learning the psychoeducational component. So what are these 4 modules? Briefly, and then I'll go into more detail, Module 1 is learning how to conduct the psychoeducational workshops. Module 2 is focused on the group therapy sessions. Module 3 are educational webinars that support the foundation, and Module 4 is case consultation. Now, they're divided into 4 modules just to separate out the key objectives and skills for these sections. However, they oftentimes are overlapping and integrated in the process. So we'll talk about them as though there are 4 separate things, but oftentimes you're doing multiple things simultaneously. So let's focus on Module 1. So the purpose of Module 1 is to learn how to facilitate the 10 interactive psychoeducational group mindful eating for binge eating workshops. This is 20 hours of your credits. So the way this is done is you will observe and participate in the psychoeducational workshops. Oftentimes this is done in a live retreat. So we hold mindful eating for binge eating retreats during which participants who have registered, raise their hand if you will, and come to this retreat for help are there participating. And those therapists who are in training are there to observe. Now you participate in the psychoeducational component and observe the therapeutic component. So this is a really powerful way to learn about the process and really in a very short period of time, typically 5 days, watch this unfolding of a person going from shame and fear to just completely opening up to their big life. So it's a very powerful experience. In that case where one is not able to come to a retreat, it is possible to observe those psychoeducational workshops through audio or video. Of course, we would expect you to read Eat What You Love, Love What You Eat, and the Mindful Eating Program for Binge Eating Companion Workbook and Awareness Journal, and I will introduce you to that in just a moment. And, of course, you'll review the workshop guide that goes with it. In Module 2, you're learning how to conduct the 10 small group or individual therapy sessions. This is 13 hours of your credits. So Dr. Anderson, who's been doing this work for 3 years and has conducted many, many, many groups, as well as 20 years of eating disorder therapy and binge eating disorder therapy prior to the development of this program, she recorded 10 live sessions, of course with permission from her group, and so you will have the opportunity to listen to those group sessions with her facilitating and the live interaction that goes on. In addition, if you attend a Mindful Eating for Binge Eating retreat, you'll be able to observe up to 6 live group therapy sessions during that retreat. And then there is, of course, a group therapy guide which will provide you with the step-by-step instructions and skills and activities that you'll do during your group therapy. In Module 3, you'll be viewing educational webinars. There are 6 of these: evidence-based treatment for binge eating, motivational theory, eating disorders 101, scope of practice, assessments and outcome measures, and business and marketing. If you do, for example, if you are an eating disorder therapist and you do not wish to watch the Eating Disorders 101, we certainly understand that, but you can only claim credit for those sessions that you actually participate in, and certainly might learn something along the way anyway. But these educational webinars can be viewed on your schedule. They're online. They can be viewed at any point during your training, and they're really designed to help you understand why the program is designed the way it is and to help you be optimally effective so you know how to address situations that come up or challenges or issues that come up during your psychoeducational sessions or group therapy. And then finally, Module 4 is the case consultation component. During this case consultation, you'll be running your first Mindful Eating for Binge Eating program, your pilot program, if you will. And then during this pilot program, you will have a trained therapist who is skilled at this Mindful Eating for Binge Eating program guide you through that session. So typically the way this happens is there's one session, one telephonic group case consultation session scheduled every other week. And so during the time that you're running your pilot group, you will hop onto that call and discuss the cases, or case, if you're working with an individual, discuss the case with the person that's working with you and go through that entire workshop. We ask that you attend at least 6 hours of telephonic group case consultation during your pilot group. You may also observe or participate in 4 hours of case consultation during the retreat as well. You're certainly welcome to participate in more of these hours. This is obviously for your benefit, but you have to attend at least 10 hours. And then following that pilot group, we invite you and encourage you to attend one case consultation session per quarter thereafter to maintain your skills and to maintain contact with a community of therapists who are also providing this program to other patients and clients. Now let me talk a little bit about the training materials. Now that you understand the overview of the training, let me show you the materials that go with this. So as part of the Mindful Eating for Binge Eating Therapy Training, you will receive a therapist guide, which I'll show you here in just a moment, a copy of the spiral-bound companion workbook and awareness journal. This journal is not available to the public. This is only available through licensed therapists. So through Am I Hungry Mindful Eating Program licensed therapist. So this, you'll get a copy of this when you do your training, so you'll have that for reference, and then your participants in your groups will get copies of this during the groups. And then it includes a copy of Eat What You Love, Love What You Eat for Binge Eating, and then access to our web portal, and I'll show you a little bit more about what's involved with all that. So this therapist guide, and here I should show you the little icon that we use to mark the book looks like that. Here's the icon that we use for the binge eating program, and there's the icon that we use to indicate the online tools. So looking at this, in your therapist guide, you will have at the very beginning a checklist of training. Well, actually, this is the training objectives, and it's several pages. I won't show you all of them, but there's your training objectives, and there's also a checklist of things that you need to do to complete your training to help you stay organized and work your way steadily through your training program. Now, you'll see that that at the top here of this page indicates that this is Workshop 1. So remember I said there were 10 sessions. This is Workshop 1. And in Workshop 1, you'll see that there's objectives and preparation. And then beyond that, there is a step-by-step guide. And let me show you a little bit more about what that looks like. This is the group therapy 1. So this is the therapy session. You can see by looking up there at the top, therapy 1. This therapy guide goes with Workshop 1, so this would be the first week here. And then when you open it up, this looks much the same, whether it's a workshop or a therapy, but you'll see that the guide is divided into 2 columns, the lesson plan and the notes section. In the notes section, we have keyed the key messages or the topics or the skills to the book and or the workbook. Remember I mentioned that's a little icon, the spiral bound icon. And there's also space on some pages more than others. you are welcome to write your own notes in that column, things that you want to remember or keywords or anything that you need to guide you through. And so this therapeutic guide, both the therapy guide and the workshop guide, are designed to take you through the elements step by step. This is basically a program that should be turnkey. Once you have been through the training and you understand the overall process, you should be able to just open your guide, review it before your session, and then if you'd like to have it in front of you, that's fine too, and go through that entire psychoeducational session or therapy group easily, because it's all there for you. Now, also in the therapist guide, let's see, did I go backwards? It kind of looks like I did. Okay, there we go. So in the therapist guide, the other option that you'll have here is a diagram. We call it flip chart, and basically it will diagram for you if you're using a flip chart or if you're using something to write on, typically mindful eating cycle-related things or scripts or other kinds of things. It shows you exactly what would go on that flip chart if you're using it. For those of you who are familiar with our mindful eating program, we use PowerPoint slides in all of those, but for the binge eating program, there is no PowerPoint slides except for that introductory workshop that I mentioned earlier. And then let's talk a little bit about the online tools, the things that you'll be able to access there. We have a website called amihungry.net. This is our network site. This is specifically for our training. This is to differentiate from amihungry.com, which is our commerce or public site. So on the amihungry.net, you'll see up at the top there's a username and password section. And depending on what username and password combination you use, it will take you into one of 3 portals. It will take you into one of the training portals, it will take you into the facilitator portal, or it will take you into the participant portal. We have a number of training programs, as you might know. We have our mindful eating program. We're here discussing the mindful eating for binge eating program. We have one for bariatric surgery and one for diabetes. And so that password that you're given at the beginning will allow you to enter that particular training area. After you've met your training requirements, you'll have access to the facilitator portal where you'll find a number of other tools, for instance, marketing and forums and other kinds of things that are useful to you after you're through that training process. And then the participant portal is an online space for you to give access to your participants, your clients, should you decide to do that. It is certainly not required, and in the case of a therapeutic environment, it may not even be desirable, but that is available to you should you decide to do that. So once you have logged into amihungry.net using the Mindful Eating for Binge Eating login combination, you'll find a page that gives you access to the various training materials. This is updated from time to time, so it may not look exactly like this when you get there, but generally you'll be able to find those things that you need. For example, you can see here that you can click on a link to the educational webinars where you'll view those 6 webinars that I talked about in Module 3. You have the Mindful Eating for Binge Eating workshops in there, the group therapy sessions, those audio recordings I mentioned. There's a list of references for you. There are business and marketing documents and tools, so consent forms, and I'll show you some of the marketing tools in just a moment. And lots of things here that are useful for you. Again, our real purpose was to make this as turnkey as possible so that really all you needed to do was get online and spend the time and earn the continuing education credits, and then everything else was there for you. So let me just give you just a sample of the marketing tools that are available to you. We have some flyers that you can download and customize for your programs. We also encourage you to share those flyers with potential referral sources. I didn't put any of them on here, but there are a number of articles that you can make available to primary care physicians or other therapists who don't do binge eating disorder, so that they have tools and awareness about what it is that you're doing and how you might be able to help their patients. You'll see a card template here that you can have your own cards made if you'd like. If you have your own business card and you don't want to have cards specifically for this, that's fine too, but you will have access to the Am I Hungry Mindful Eating for Binge Eating logo. It's part of your license, and therefore you would be able to add that to your card or your website or flyers or any other place that you would like to let people know that this is something that you offer. And then the PowerPoint there is just to remind me to let you know that you do have access to that introductory PowerPoint to use for your marketing purposes. On amihungry.com, our main website, we have extensive mindful eating for binge eating information. The purpose here is to really increase the awareness of binge eating and the treatment of binge eating using mindful eating. We have a binge eating scale. This is a great place to send your clients to who are unsure or you're unsure, and they can do a binge eating scale for themselves. There's the list of the diagnostic criteria and other handouts and things that you can access here. Also on this website, it might be a little hard to see, but on the far right there's a little Get Started button, and under that button is a link where individuals can click to go back to amihungry.net and search for a therapist in their area. So once you have a license to offer this program, or when you're in the training to offer this program, your name will appear in that list of qualified therapists that people can find through our main website. And that's quite useful. At this time of this recording, we have over 43,000 people on our email newsletter list. We get tens of thousands of hits on this website monthly, and as you know, we do a lot of educational kinds of activities in terms of continuing education and articles and other things to really help draw people to you so that they can get the help that they need. So I know that was a lot of information. It was intended to just be an overview, but to give you a better understanding of how this program works. As always, we're available at training@amihungry.com. Training@amihungry.com. Drop us an email if you have any questions. We're also happy to talk with you by phone. Just drop us an email there and set up a phone call with either myself or Dr. Anderson, or we'd be happy to connect you with any other therapist who's been through the training, so you can talk with them yourself and get their feedback on what the experience was like and how it's helped their clients. So thank you so much for your time and attention. We look forward to working with you and sincerely appreciate your interest in this area. This is an amazing program, probably one of the most incredible things I've been involved with in my entire professional career. It literally changes lives, and I'm just absolutely thrilled that you're considering offering this to those in your circle of influence.